Welcome to the Shootin' Show. Stand by for shots fired.
Hello, I'm Johnny Rowland, your host of the Shootin' Show, and welcome to another program. I'll tell you what, friends, this is one of those great days to be out. Summertime is just about here in Louisiana. I know in some parts of the country it's still a little bit cool, but here, believe me, the temperatures are definitely up. We're so glad to have you, and we want to welcome all our new viewers. We understand that we've picked up another 250,000 cable homes this past week, and we're so pleased about that. The Outdoor Channel is growing at such a rapid pace, and our satellite viewers are definitely gaining in strength every week. We do appreciate every last one of you, because, you know, our message here is just to present ourselves as normal Americans, as gun owners and people who like to shoot guns in the proper perspective, and that is certainly one of being constitutionally correct in being able to have firearms, period, and certainly trying to demonstrate the proper way to use them and handle them. Anyway, we have a great show for you this week. We have several things. We have a great museum piece that I know you're really going to enjoy. We have one last segment this week with Jerry Michalik, and several other things that I think you're really going to appreciate. So let's begin another Shootin' Show. We have some steel plates set up down here at 100 yards, and friends, this is one of the original 44 Magnums. This is a Smith & Wesson Model 29 with an 8 3/8 inch barrel. Well, let's see what it looks like out here at 100 yards. Hey, that wasn't hard. Let's get the other one. Well, friends, I am holding one of the classic handguns on the American scene today. This is a Model 29 Smith & Wesson with an 8 3/8 inch barrel. Now this, in fact, is a Model 29-2, which I assume was the second upgrade or modification, and I'm not exactly sure what they were. You know, manufacturers will make some subtle changes. Sometimes they'll call it whatever model it is, -1, 2, 3 or so. But I can assume that this gun probably comes from the 60s or 70s, somewhere in that time frame. And I'll tell you what, this is one of those handguns that thanks to the Dirty Harry movies back in the early 70s, really made such an impression on society. You know, a lot of people went out and bought these guns. I had a good friend in South Louisiana several years ago. We were talking about mid-70s, and he had gone down to the bank and gotten a loan for $550, because that's what these guns used to cost in the 70s. This is one of those situations where they actually have come down in retail if you figure what dollars were worth in the 70s and what they're worth now. But these guns were in very, very short supply, pretty much due to the Dirty Harry series of movies, because, you know, that's how movies and television have such a great effect on what people think and what they do, because everybody in the country, when they saw old Clint there in the Dirty Harry movies take care of all the bad situations and bad guys with his 44 Magnum, well, everybody went out. I think everyone remembers that scene where Clint's standing and saying, well, this is the most powerful handgun in the world. Well, at that time, that was probably closer to the truth. And now, of course, now we have quite a number of handguns that have come along which have eclipsed the 44 Magnum as far as power. For one, the 454 Casull, the 50 Action Express, and some of the hand cannons from J.D. Jones, which take some super-powered cartridges. But still, as far as what is commonly encountered, the 44 Magnum is still the most powerful handgun that we're most likely to run into. And the 44 Magnum is, in fact, a very useful cartridge. It is not for everyone, and it certainly does have a more limited purpose in its higher powered loadings. Now here's what happened when people went out and bought these guns. We have a full charge load in this Model 29, so let's take a look at it. See, friends, we had quite a bit of recoil, quite a bit of noise, and what would be found a lot of times, people went in gun shops and they found Model 29s that were traded in, and maybe a box of cartridges, maybe with 5 or 6 gone. The average person, which had never experienced a really hard recoiling gun until they went out and shot a 44 Magnum, it was just more than they could deal with. You know, years ago, nobody knew that we needed hearing protection. Of course, I have mine in now. And the boom from these things is they're pretty darn loud. Let me tell you what. I've heard of people that went out and shot like 100 rounds without hearing protection that developed permanent tinnitus, or permanent ringing of the ears due to that. I tell you what, you just don't want to shoot one of these guns. Now, I've shot them in hunting situations without hearing protection out in an open area, and I really didn't notice it so much at that time. But if you're out target shooting and you're going to be shooting a lot of rounds, and even today when I'm in a hunting situation, I try and have some sort of hearing protection with me, because, you know, if you lose your hearing, you don't get it back. It doesn't grow back, so you darn sure want to protect your hearing. But the 44 Magnums, one, and it had those terrible grips. You know, the grips that come on these guns are real nice, like we heard Jerry Michalik say sometime recently. They look real good in a box, but the grips that come on these guns are what they call big target grips. I don't know who they fit. Now, I have a size large hand. They darn sure don't fit me. And they have checkering that will rough up the skin in the palm of your hand if you shoot them a lot. Now, I had some Packmeyer grips here in my shop, and I put them on. It's much more comfortable to shoot than the original grip. But the ones, and we'll look at it in just a moment, the wooden grips that come on these guns are just not fun to shoot, certainly not for me. One of the nice things about the Model 29, it actually is a fairly lightweight handgun for what it is. Now, in the 1950s, when Elmer Keith and the first fans of the 44 got this cartridge going, I read somewhere where Elmer shot 600 rounds in a year. Well, the rounds he was shooting were a 240 or 250 grain lead bullet in front of some 2400 powder, and the cartridge, the bullet and powder combination was not as severe, and again, they didn't shoot those guns that much. Now then, when the silhouette game came along, and of course these long barrel models can be tremendously accurate. We got some groups with this gun a little earlier today that surprised me. Believe me, at 25 yards, it'll just about put them in the same hole this particular gun will. But when the silhouette types came along and really started loading the 44 Magnum to maximum velocities, well, then your basic Model 29 did not hold up that well. Now they didn't blow up or anything like that, but what would happen, they would loosen up. It would increase wear on all the working parts, the moving parts. They developed a lot of problems from just being heavily loaded. Even these older guns, if they're reasonably shot, if you don't literally beat them to death with the ultra powerful loads, and you're just out shooting, say, reduced loads for practice and reserve your super powered loads for just hunting, just something like that, they'll last a long time. And of course, the Smith & Wesson revolver can be, I suppose they can be rebuilt for almost indefinitely. But these earlier model guns, now then, we'll look at what Smith & Wesson has done. They actually came along with an endurance package for these guns when they realized that a lot of them were going to be used on the silhouette field, where some of these fellows shoot thousands of rounds in a year's time. And so they strengthened certain key parts of the 29 to make them stand up better. But these are still awfully nice, awfully smooth handguns, and a lot of fun to enjoy. Now, friends, this, of course, you can see it's an older gun. One, it has the pin on top of the barrel here to help the barrel resist rotating out under torque or whatever else. Another difference it has, since this is an earlier model gun, you can see it has recessed cylinders. Now, what this means is, and we have an empty case here, the cartridge case will go all the way in flush, and this was designed originally, I suppose, to prevent a case blowout. Some of the old balloon type case head, balloon head type cases, I will get it right in a minute, possibly in years past would sometimes weaken and blow out along the rim, but of course the modern cartridge case has a solid rim, so there's no real danger of it blowing out. But that's just one of the differences this gun has. Of course, the action is very smooth, and this one, of course, with the thin barrel, it's easy to point and move quickly. The slim barrels don't dampen recoil as well, but they have some advantages as far as speed of movement from target to target. These are really rather nice with reduced loads, rather nice action shooting guns. Typically, the Smith & Wesson actions are always going to be smooth. They have a very light, very nice single action trigger pull. The double action is real smooth. It has the excellent Smith & Wesson sights. And another thing that the long barrel does, it gives you a better sight picture. It makes your sighting and hitting a target easier than on a shorter barrel gun. Now then, friends, I'll show you a difference in the earlier models. You see the bolt cut here in the cylinder? Well, this is a more recent end frame here. This is 657, in fact, and you have a longer bolt cut to help prevent what they used to call magnum float, with the bolt unlatching and the cylinder turning the wrong way after you shot it. That's one of the differences, and of course this has the more modern cylinder, which is not recessed. Now personally, actually the old recess probably aided the use of speed loaders, because it gave a very slight funnel effect on the cylinders. But this particular gun has the edges of the cylinder trimmed down or honed down slightly to aid in speed loading. Now this gun has the endurance package, the newer models, and certainly the newer Model 29s do. Now, friends, like I said, I replaced the grip for our testing here, and I do want to thank the good folks at Britton's in Shreveport for loaning us this gun. I replaced the grip with a Packmare grip that I had. See, here's the original Target type grip. Now see, you can get a good purchase on this Packmare grip. My hand can get a really good grip. These three fingers are secure, and of course the rubber with the back strap here also helps some in dissipating recoil. But this is a good grip. Now then, on the standard Target model grip, look where my little finger is. It's just on the front there, and I don't know who they designed these Target type grips for, but certainly not for most of us that want to shoot these guns. Now, friends, the arch competitor for the Smith & Wesson 44 Magnum, of course, was the Ruger Super Blackhawk 44 Magnum. In fact, I believe the first Ruger 44s were referred to as Blackhawks rather than Super Blackhawks. But actually, and this is a new model Super Blackhawk, which was dates from, I'm going to guess, sometime in the early 80s. I really don't know. But they're actually about the same size. The Super Blackhawk has a 7.5-inch barrel, and due to the grip configurations and how the guns are, they're actually about the same size.
Friends, all of us as shooting enthusiasts should be subscribing to Shotgun News, the trading post for anything that shoots. 3 big issues monthly with literally thousands and thousands of firearms bargains. Shotgun News, Post Office Box 669, Hastings, Nebraska, the zip code 68902, their phone number, area 402-463-4589, MasterCard or Visa for subscriptions only. Now call them at 1-800-345-6923. You know, friends, this box of Corbin ammunition and this Wesson 41 Magnum are in fact a perfect match for each other. But it doesn't matter whatever gun you may have, like this SKS or a hunting rifle or a 38 Special or a 9mm, makes no difference, because Corbin is absolutely the best factory ammunition that money can buy, period. And also, friends, when you see a box of Corbin on the shelf or you give them a call, realize that Corbin is helping keep the shooting show on the air. They've been one of our most dedicated sponsors. You cannot find finer people in the entire shooting industry. For information on Corbin ammunition, call them 1-800-626-7266. Again, 1-800-626-7266. Tell them you saw it on the Shooting Show. The Shooting Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station.
know, friends, there's been debate for many years on which was the best hunting handgun, the Super Blackhawk or the Model 29. As we said earlier, they're pretty much the same size, actually. With a proper grip, you'll notice on this old Super Blackhawk of mine, that's one of the first things I replaced also, because that squared off trigger guard is going to nail my finger when it goes off. And this is another Packmare grip. And of course, there are a lot of good grips out there. These are just what I happen to have here today. But the point is, let's compare, and we have our targets are fairly close, of course, but for our purposes, it'll do just fine. Let's compare shooting the Model 29 here against the Super Blackhawk, and let's see what kind of actual times with full charge ammunition that we have. We have our pro timer on here first, and realize again we're only going to be making aimed shots. Something, even though we're going to be shooting quickly, they darn sure they've got to be aimed shots, because if you were in the woods and you were a hunting situation, and what always bothers me about in pig hunting here in Louisiana, if you happen to be on the ground and your first shot's not real good, well, you could have a problem. So you've got to be able to rapidly follow up those shots against an animal like a wild boar. So let's just see how long it takes. We'll start from the low ready position. Go ahead and punch the timer. Okay, we have a hit here, 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 all in the center there, all reasonably good hits. 1.37 seconds. So let's try the same drill and be sure our cartridge line up. Yes, try the same drill with our Super Blackhawk, and let's just see what happens here. 1.37 seconds. You might remember that number. Here we go. Okay, and again, all hits, 1.86 seconds. So again, we're pretty close to our targets. But we can see it's a half second quicker for 3 shots. And of course, I cocked the gun on the way up. So now then, just for grin, since we're here, and you've heard me talk about how much easier a 41 Magnum was to shoot. Well, we have essentially the same gun here in the 657 as our Model 29 there, just a different chambering. We do have excellent Hogue grips. Now then, we're looking at 1.86 seconds. So let's try the same drill, 3 shots in our circles here, as fast as I can run this afternoon. So 1.86 seconds for the single action Super Blackhawk. Let's see what it does. Okay, and my hits were better. In fact, all 3 certainly within our circle. Now that's full charge 41 Magnum ammunition. Now that's 1.15 seconds, so that's quite a bit faster. The 41 Magnum is within about 15 or 20% or so in power of the 44, but it's quite a bit easier to shoot, especially on this frame gun, this in-frame Smith & Wesson. Now then, just for grins, since we're here, have our Wesson 357 Magnum, and let's just go for speed here and see what. Now realize with a 357 you're not putting as much energy on the target, but let's see, that was 1.15 seconds, 1.86 with the Super Blackhawk single action, 1.37 with the full-size 29. So just for being relative here, let's compare our 357 Magnum speeds. Now then, of course, I'm not talking about hunting much now as much as I am talking about home defense. So we'll talk about this in just a moment with some other ammunition for the 29. But let's see, and of course I'm shooting full charge Corbon 357 Magnum ammunition. So let's see what the 357 does. Okay, 1 point, and yes, we have all good hits in the center. 1.13 seconds. So actually, the 41 Magnum is not very much slower than the 357. And of course, all we're talking about is hits. We don't want to just spray bullets. Now, anybody can stand here and spray bullets at a rapid speed, but what we're talking about is hits. So I do find that interesting. Our 41 Magnum is not that far away from 357 in speed of shooting. Now friends, some of you may be saying, well, all I have is a 44 Magnum handgun, certainly a revolver, or you want to use one because these guns are super accurate, and maybe that's all you can afford is one handgun, and you like the power capacity of the big guns. Well, here's what you can do. You can load a 44 Special, and of course I do want to recommend the great Corbine loading in 44 Special because it has a 180 grain bullet at about 1,000 or so feet per second. Very mild, very controllable, and very effective for self-defense.
Now friends, you'll see you have a 44 Special on the left here and a 44 Magnum on the right. You can see the difference in the two cartridges, much as a 38 Special and a 357 Magnum. You can shoot the 44 Special in the 44 Magnum gun, but you can't shoot the Magnum cartridge in a gun for a 44 Special.
So remember, our 357 time was 1.13 seconds. We've loaded some 44 Special rounds into our Model 29, and let's see how our times go with the same gun, just with a 44 Special loading. Remember that 1.13 for the 357, 1.15 for the 41 Magnum, 1.86 for the, got to remember all this, 1.86 for the single action 44 Magnum, and then 1.37 I think for the full charge round in the Model 29. All right, let's try 44 Special and see what kind of difference it makes. Again, thinking now instead of a hunting standpoint for home defense. Punch our timer, get in position. Okay, 1.22 seconds, and we have all good hits. So we're approaching the speed we went with the 41 Magnum, and probably maybe the extra weight and barrel length slowed me down a little bit. I don't know, not a whole heck of a lot. It might have just been that run. But you see, it was considerably faster with 44 Special. So if you do have a 44 Magnum and you want to use it as a home defense gun, well, you really should consider the 44 Special round because it is an excellent cartridge with proper loads, with the proper bullets that are out there today. You're not going to be looking at over penetration. And you're going to be looking at good speed in shooting. In fact, friends, again, thinking about our 44 Magnum double-action revolvers, this Model 29 for home defense, let's do one more little experiment since we're here. Let's put 5 rounds on the target as fast as I can with 44 Specials, but you know, because the 44 Special with proper loadings will approximate the power of your 45 ACP. So let's just see. Let's run 5 shots in this target as fast as I can this afternoon and see what it looks like and compare it to a 45. Okay, 5 shots, 1.22 seconds, and we have about a 2-inch group, which is not all that bad actually. Now then, same drill. Move to a different target, and we have our Colt loaded. Let's compare the two. 1.22 seconds for 5 rounds. Okay, 1.13 seconds for 5 rounds, and not really any difference in our group size with our 45 ACP. Now that tenth or so of a second in difference in time is probably going to be directly related to the length of trigger pull. One, you have a short trigger pull with the Colt, and I tell you what, friends, really, these 44 Magnum revolvers that are stuck away in drawers and cabinets and show boxes, whatever else, or in cabinets or nice gun cases that will never shoot. Again, with 44 Special ammunition, you can really call them into duty as a home defense gun. I'll tell you what, this is really a classic, this Model 29, and of course the newer Model 29s with the endurance package will really take a lot more of a pounding than these guns. But shot with any sort of reasonable loads, even these older models will last a long, long time, give awfully good service.
know, friends, it's great fun out shooting these semi-automatic guns, especially if you have a bunch of loaded magazines. But what happens, a lot of us go out to the range, we'll have 1 or 2 magazines, and we'll spend a good bit of our time just loading the magazines so we can shoot our guns. Well, this C3 rapid loading system that we're working with now is one of the neatest ideas to come across that we've seen. And here's how it works. You insert the rounds into a clip, a little plastic clip. It's very simple. And then you will take the little black well-made heavy-duty plastic mechanism here put over the top of the magazine. And then all you have to do is insert the loaded clip into the little mechanism here and sort of brace your magazine and simply just push down, and you've loaded 6 rounds. And you can literally load a 30-round magazine. And finally, friends, we have, of course, you have the empty plastic clip here and a loaded round or loaded magazine with 30 rounds. I tell you what, it's just, this is such a neat thing. Now fill up the Uniclip with your ammo, and each Uniclip holds 30 rounds and can be used over and over. You get 3 Uniclips with your rapid loader. You can load a 30-round magazine in about 3 seconds. The price of the C3 rapid loader is only $39.95 plus $4 shipping and handling, Visa or MasterCard accepted. To see if the C3 system will fit your gun, call Bobby or Al at 1-800-SAVE-YOU-GUN. That's our 800 number, 1-800-728-8486.
More and more often, women are faced with protecting themselves and their homes. But another way of protection is through information. And we at the Shootin' Show believe that the new American magazine has the best information that you can possibly get.
You can get the New American by calling 1-800-727-TRUE-TRUE. And those numbers, of course, are 1-800-727-8783. The New American, $22 for a 6-month subscription. It comes twice a month. Friends, you need this magazine if you want to know what's going on. And in times like this, we need both of these. We need our guns, and we darn sure need our information.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station.
And now let's continue with the feature that we were running from last week with Jerry Michalik.
What's a good stance for you when you're shooting like something real fast like that? How do you stand?
Well, the Weaver stance.
Uh-huh.
The Weaver stance that came out in the 70s was the hot ticket, you know.
Right.
You presented the gun to the target, you pushed the gun and you pulled with your left hand.
Uh-huh.
So you push-pull.
Right.
Had nothing to do with shooting. You might saw wood that way. You know, it had nothing to do with actual shooting. It doesn't. It's a good story to tell somebody if you want to impress them with a lot of words. But in actual technique, if you leave your elbow bent, it acts as a shock absorber.
Really?
Okay. The worst thing you want to do is shoot a gun stiff arm.
Now the problem comes in where people have a limp wrist on semi-automatics. Now we talk about that from time to time.
Right. Yeah.
But what you're saying is your arm can be bent to work as a, but
Right.
your wrist is more important to be firm, isn't it?
Your wrist a lot. You lock your wrist.
Lock wrist.
Keep your elbow bent
Keep your elbow
a little
bent.
bit, and you hold the gun. You hold it with both hands. You're not trying to push or pull.
You're just holding
You're
the gun.
holding it. You want to hold it tight as you can without the gun trembling.
Right.
And your left hand will put a lot of control, probably 50-70% of control of the handgun with your left hand.
When I see a lot of us, well, we don't know this till we talk to somebody like yourself.
And it's just not ideal holding a gun and pulling the trigger a bunch of times. It's just keeping the gun in relationship to your hand to keep the track straight. That's one of the things, where you put your finger on the trigger. You know, it's very small things that lead up to a good performance. And it's That's the hard part. That's what took the 600,000 rounds of ammo, you know, downrange, to learn that.
Well, you know, it's like a musical instrument. Just because somebody may have a Stratocaster, a very fine guitar, or a fine violin, does not necessarily mean they can play it. And someone with a mediocre instrument can sound better if they know how to play it than someone, a beginner with a grand instrument. And I think that's sort of what you're saying.
Pretty much. Technique is everything with a handgun because it offers you nothing. A handgun is the hardest firearm manufactured to control. There's no stock.
Right.
It's short. It's relatively compact. It's hard to drive. It would be like a very high-performance sports car. And it offers you really nothing in a. It's like driving a sports car on ice. It wants to get away from you every time that you accelerate.
Well, that's another reason that we encourage people to get out and learn to shoot their guns. I think that is so important. Jerry, tell me, what advantage would the longer barrel, the long gun, have over the short gun?
Well, you know, Johnny, it offers about the same advantage as the old Kentucky black powder rifle with a 40-inch barrel compared to a rifle with a 16-inch barrel. You have a lot longer sight radius. That translates down to the sighting is less critical than a longer sight radius. You can get away with a little bit more error. Where the real short gun like this, if your front sight is over to the side of the rear sight blade, at 100 yards it'll be several feet off. With this one it would be inches.
A few inches off.
Right.
Well, now I've seen you shoot both of these guns comparatively the same speed.
Right.
With apparently good accuracy too. So, of course, I realize that the longer gun is easier to shoot fast and accurately.
Well, one thing, we had to shoot bowling pins one time with the short guns, and I had a rude awakening to how hard it was to shoot. I had to change my technique. I had to adapt to the smaller gun, and the biggest problem with the smaller guns there, Johnny, was the stocks being so small. There was nothing really to hold on to with your weak hand. When you're shooting a bowling pin, it's a relatively small target, and you want to hit it center. You want to drive it straight off the table. So you have to have a gun that is fast and very accurate. Or you want to try to shoot it in a very accurate manner. And a little bitty gun like this with the small stocks, the way I used to shoot a revolver like this would wrap the thumbs over on the side, which is the way I'll shoot a full-size gun. But being there's no stock here to hold on to, when you try to shoot it fast and keep it in line, it would walk around. Very hard to drive straight. So I'd come up with the idea of putting the thumb up on the web with a strong hand. That's one thing we've tried. We've tried just about every way to shoot a revolver except stick your big toe in there, you know, and try to pull it. But just small technique changes will really make a large difference on your overall performance with any revolver. Just trying to adapt to each change, stock, sights, barrel combinations.
Well, of course, the advantage of a small revolver is portability. It's easier to have a small gun with you.
Very much.
But again, it gets back, I think, to what we said earlier. You just got to go out and shoot your gun and learn to. Would you recommend? I know a lot of people. They may have 6, 8, 10 handguns, and they'll take 4 or 5 to the range any one day, and they'll shoot a whole bunch. What do you recommend? How many guns would you take out to the range if you're going to shoot?
Well, if you own all these and you take them out to the range, that's good. You want to, when you have them at hand like this, to try one against the other, it's very obvious to see what's different. If you shoot just one for a period of several months and then you went back and grabbed another one, it's hard to compare what the actual performance is. Just the way I can step to the line, I can grab this long gun, shoot it a while, and say, oh, I see what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong. And when I grab the other gun, the short gun, it'll show me right away what's right and wrong with that grip or that technique style, that particular gun. So it makes a big difference.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jerry, we really appreciate you taking time. Well, you're going to do a little shooting for us on some pins or on something here.
All right, I might do that, shoot some pins with that revolver.
Okay.
Let's see what we can do.
Now, Jerry, I want to talk a little bit about your gun. Now, this is not a 6-shot revolver. This is, in fact, a 7-shot revolver.
Right. This is the Bowmanized.
This is a Bowmanized gun.
Yep.
And you've had good luck with this, haven't you?
Yeah, very good luck.
So I think they still are making those conversions, or someone else is doing it, whoever is doing it. It was a good idea. So that extra round does come in handy sometimes.
Always, always.
Well, sir, what you going to shoot for us?
I'm just going to see if I can shoot 5 pins off the table, 2 count of time.
Okay. Well, let's take a look. Sir, I was impressed. I'm sure our audience was too. How much time was that?
That's 2.45.
Which is faster than certainly almost anybody watching could possibly do it. But tell you what, we're going to ask you to do one more thing. Yes, it's warm out here, and I've got a little.
What you got, John? What you got?
If you could you do one of your 45 ACP revolver speed reloads for us? Would you do that for us in closing here?
Give it a try. See what we can do.
Okay. Well, Jerry, again, we appreciate so much you taking time out of your busy schedule to come out here with us, and we will give you numbers for your shooting school, because I know there's going to be some people that will want to come out here.
Okay.
One, it's a nice part of the country. You got a great facility here, and I know there are going to be some people that would really like to come to one of your classes to really learn how to do this. Well, sir, we featured you for some time now on the opening of our show. Shooting 6, reloading your revolver and shooting 6 again. What if you do that for us right now if you can?
I'll try it one time, Johnny. See what happens.
Okay.
One time. All right, we're going to shoot 6 and reload. Shoot 6 more on that target. Well, I hit something, Johnny.
I believe they were all hits. Well, Jerry, thanks again so much. And people, and what's 4.5 seconds?
Well, let's see what we got. Yeah, 4.5.
Hey, friends, that's, I think anybody would agree that's pretty darn smoky. Well, Jerry, we appreciate so much you taking time to come out and do this for us today. I know that there's going to be a lot of people who watch our show that are going to want information, one on Clark Guns, but also on your shooting school. So let's tell them how to get that right now.
For more information on the Jerry Michalik shooting classes, please call 318-949-1303. Again, that number is 318-949-1303.
Well, friends, I tell you what, we really had such a great time in northeastern Oklahoma, and we are with a gentleman none other than John Nowlin. Now, those of you who are dedicated pistol shooters that really keep up with the IPSC sport, you probably know who this gentleman is, but those of you who are not as familiar with the shooting sports may not know, because he's been a well-kept secret. In fact, you know, that may have been intentional, because a lot of these people don't want them to know, don't want anybody else to know their secrets for winning. You think that's...
That might be true.
Well, I think so. John makes some of the very finest 1911 parts that are available anywhere in the world today. He has a very sophisticated machining process. In fact, he does a lot of stuff here that he just flatly won't tell how he does it, and that's great. But his parts wear longer, and he has an accuracy level. In fact, you were telling us earlier, what's your standard of accuracy for a 1911 barrel at 50 yards?
Under 2 inches, and our competition pistols will shoot, most of them will shoot under an inch at 50 yards.
Well, now, friends, those of you who've been out there with a 1911 know that that's pretty dramatic, and it's always exciting. We want to introduce you folks out there in our audience to the best people we can, and certainly John has built a reputation for accuracy and precision. He sells a good number of parts overseas in other countries, and especially such as in Germany and some of the European IPSC shooters, and they demand the absolute best as far as quality of machine work, don't they?
Yes. Our shooters are like going to Indianapolis to race. They're very big money shoots now, $150,000 to $300,000, and the public really isn't aware of the size of the sport today and the amount of money that's given away as prizes. And they always have the ladies as well as the men's shooting classes. And our parts are all forged or made from machine parts, and out of most everything is 416 stainless and very precision fit.
Well, leading question here, and we've really had a great time this afternoon. We've talked about everything from parts to bullets. I think we even touched on religion for a while. I tell you, it's a good man that you can talk about all these things, politics and religion, to, and still leave friendly. I promise you. But how many major matches did your guns in the hands of shooters win last year?
Well, last year we had a police officer named Pyatt that won the Soldier of Fortune.
People saw that.
Yes, and we won the last steel challenge. We won it, and the two before that, and then the American handgunner shoot-off, the world shoot-off man-on-man. He won that, and my daughter is a world-class shooter. She won the ladies' American handgunner world shoot-off. We won a second chance pin shoot, people that make the vest for all the police officers, and we won the nationals pin shoot, and we were third in U.S. national practical shooting.
Well, sir, I mean, we talked some really heavyweight competition, and there's only, see, you can't pay some of these folks enough money. You can't pay someone like a Mickey Fowler or Bruce Pyatt or some of the other people who shoot for you, or Jethro Dionisio. You can't pay them enough money to use a second-class product.
No, you can't. They have to win. And you know, I forgot, we also, one of our students built a gun here last year, and John Pride, the police officer, he won Bianchi Cup, which is a very prestigious shoot, and Mickey Fowler was second, and Bruce Pyatt was fourth, and then internationally, Mickey Fowler went to Europe and won the Bianchi Cup shoot in Germany, in Frankfurt. I think it was Brussels, I'm sorry.
Well, of course, again, your association here is some of the very best people. And, of course, when we talk about some of the finest parts made, well, John's name does come up with great regularity. And we're very pleased to visit with him. We're here in fact, not far from Claremore.
Yes. About 5 miles from Claremore.
Now, what your mailing address is, Claremore?
My mailing address is Claremore.
Well, John is going to show us some of his custom parts, and some of you may want to get in touch with him. Now then, we're talking first-rate quality. I mean, we're definitely, this is not, if you're looking for a, shall we say, a shortcut for a part, this is not right. I mean, you need to go somewhere else for that. But if you want the best part that money can buy, well, you need to talk to this man on some of these 1911s. So let's take a look at some of the things that you specialize in.
Stay tuned for more of the Shootin' Show after these important messages.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station.
If you would like to advertise on the Shootin' Show, you can call us at 1-800-SAVE-YOU-GUN. That's 1-800-728-8486. Our staff will be very happy to talk to you.
We as Americans have the right to choose or pursue the best of anything. But when it comes to ammunition, for a handgun or rifle or even some specialty calibers, Corbine is the best.
Well, Johnny, this is our line of product here, and our barrels are made from forgings, which makes them as strong as you can make a barrel. They're made out of 416 stainless, and they're precision machined on the outside, and we have the smoothest barrel inside that you can buy. It's just mirror smooth, which is an 8 RMS finish in the machining industry talking. We also coat these barrels with titanium nitride, which is 90 Rockwell, and it's what's put onto machinist tooling that works under high temperature and stress. And we make those in black and gold. We put compensators on a lot of our barrels, and they all fit a 1911. This is for an officer's model. This is for a commander's model, which is used a lot by law enforcement and self-protection guns. We do quite a few for these. I do law enforcement in Oklahoma, some for highway patrol. These longer type here are made for competition shooting, and that you'll see it on TV, or if you watch any of the big shoots, you'll see these people that are shooting these funny-looking ends on there to keep the recoil down on the pistol when they're shooting. All of our interior parts are machined And we make extractors and ejectors, the type of parts that you would put in and being machined. They don't break. They hold up much better than cast parts, which is most of what you can buy now in the market. One of our big lines is we make a lot of tooling so that the gunsmith or pistol smith can work on their pistols. And these are handled by the major distributors in the United States that supply pistol smiths like Brownells and Denny's. And without this tooling, it's difficult for the pistol smith to work on these type guns. I run a school here 8 times a year at Rogers State College, and we teach them how to work and do accuratize and make guns totally reliable, because the gun has to be reliable or it isn't any good to you, whether you're at self-defense or police or in competition. So these tools are very important. I also make springs. Most of the springs that you find on the market are made out of piano wire, and that's considered very good in the industry, but I make mine out of chrome silicon. And it's at least 5 times stronger and is more durable than your normal piano wire. And it's a spring that's used in Indianapolis race cars for valves. It's also, well, it was developed in England for machine guns. It takes a tremendous amount of wear and tear. And so that kind of pretty well covers up most of our parts, other than we do make scope mounts of all types. And these are all machined and hard anodized like in the aircraft industry, which makes them 90 Rockwell. We machine all of our scope mounts, and that way when they install them, their scopes will last longer and won't break. And then we take these parts and we put them into those guns that's like on the table there, and make guns that are very, very accurate and totally reliable. Okay, here I'm holding one of the highly customized pistols that we make here in the shop. And you can see how much the slide's been lightened. It has a custom compensator for recoil. This pistol weighs 26 ounces, which is very light for a 1911 Auto. The bottom frame is a aircraft type aluminum alloy that's been sent through a process they use in the aircraft industry called hard anodizing. It has steel shims in here where into the aluminum frame to make it stronger. This happens to be the actual pistol that our shooter won the last 2 steel challenges with, and won the shoot-off at American Handgunner. So it's a same pistol that was on the front page of American Handgunner. A lot of people have seen that, and but this is the actual one that actually did the winning. These type pistols here are more of a carry type pistol. We sell a lot of this to law enforcement because they have higher capacity, and today law enforcement can use higher capacity. Civilians have to use 10 rounds, but they can still buy the high capacity magazines. This is a one done by Strayer Tripp. I guess it's STI now down in Texas, and the bottom of it is a polymer high quality type plastic to make it light, and this gun's been hard chromed. Most of our guns have been hard chromed for durability and not rusting. These particular guns, we built several of them. They will go to Germany and be used for self-defense, law enforcement, and possibly competition. This is a highly modified gun that looks very strange, and one of the most prestige shoots in the United States is the Bianchi Cup, sponsored now by NRA. And it has this funny-looking shroud and wings because they have to shoot around barricades. Police officers have to be trained to shoot around barricades, so that's one of the requirements that they can do. But in competition, they go a little bit further and put these little, they call them wings, and this mover here, there's a mover that you have to shoot at a running target. In this particular scope, you can move it right or left, and it will compensate for this moving object to where that you can aim dead center on the target. Of course, this is a highly specialized gun and would only be used for competition. But we do cover the complete market. Home self-defense and the short officer models and commanders. Like I've told you, we do a lot of work with law enforcement, and then we home defense. I teach a course here at Rogers State on home defense for the one of the courses is children in the home, so that they'll be safe. You know how to handle guns around the home, that young people are safe, and teach them the importance and how to be safe with a handgun at home.
Well, John, I tell you, I have really enjoyed being here in your shop, and knowing that your business is a family-owned, family-operated business, and we possibly ought to tell your daughter's name because she's a very successful shooter.
Yes, I'm sorry to do. My daughter's name is Julie. They call her Julie the Jewel Nallen. My son is a pistol smith here, and John Nallen Jr., and my wife, Sandra, works in the business, so it's kind of a family-run small business here, and we belong to the American Pistol Guild, which is an organization of quite esteem in this business with gentlemen that know how to conduct themselves like gentlemen. Well, I'm also a member of American Handgunners Top 100 Pistol Smith in the United States. So actually we just sat here on what is called Keatonville Hill, and we make a living selling guns to responsible people and people that are competing with them.
Well, I tell you, I am certainly convinced of the quality of your product because, honestly, before you and I met, your name came up too often. I mean, there had to be something to it, and we knew that, and we're so glad to get to visit with you today. Now, if somebody wants a parts list or wants to know what you make, how can they get your catalog, or how can they find out about that?
Well, they can call or fax or write in to us, and you will see our ad in a national magazine occasionally. But we're in, it's Nallen Custom Manufacturing, Route 1, Box 308, Claremore, Oklahoma, 74017. And our telephone number is 918-342-0689. And we'd be happy to send a catalog to anybody that would like to know about our product here.
Well, we'll show that on the screen so folks can write it down if they want to. And again, if you've got a 1911 and you want some of these parts, which absolutely are some of the finest available, period, anywhere. And I know they won't be disappointed. And if someone did have a problem, well, I'm sure it won't be your part that caused it, but they can actually call and get help from you.
Oh, yes. Our products are all 100% guaranteed, no questions. That's one reason Brown L handles it. You know, if you don't like our product, you send it back and you get your money back. And it's the same way on our guns. Our guns are guaranteed. And the type of people that buy them, you know, if you have any problem, any question, we're here on the phone at all hours to answer any questions or help you in any way we can. And did I mention we run a school here to teach this?
Well, you talked about it, but how can if they want information on a school, they can call or write the same?
Yeah, they can call here, and if for people that are serious about the 1911, we have a love affair with this gun that John Browning designed. We believe it's a great pistol, and today most guns are stamp parts or cast, and these are fully machined guns that not machine guns, fully machined. And the school we teach is a 5-day course. I teach 3 days at Rogers State in a classroom, and then 2 days on hands in the shop on the pistols. And we teach all the aspects of accuracy and reliability.
Well, sir, that's great. I tell you what, we wish you continued success because you certainly are successful, and you have had self-made good fortune, and we wish that to continue. And certainly we thought this is something that our audience would enjoy seeing your product and meeting you. And hey, let's just continue doing more good stuff.
Well, I thank you, and I appreciate you gentlemen coming.
Our pleasure.
It's been our pleasure to have you up here.
To contact the Nowlin Custom Shop for parts information or for a catalog, give them a call at area 918-342-0689. Again, that phone number, area 918-342-0689.
Well, friends, here we are, and there's only one word to describe this place. This is the J.M. Davis Firearms Museum here in Claremore, Oklahoma, and this is probably the most fantastic set of firearms I've ever seen in one place. This lady's name is Margaret Gunlock. Margaret, you've got to be kidding. That's really...
My real name, Gunlock, with a G,
well,
as in gun.
Well, you're definitely in the right... Hey, Margaret, you got the right job, don't you?
That's right.
Well, I tell you what, tell us, now Claremore is on Highway 20
66.
and 66.
Historic Route 66.
So this is on Historic Route 66.
It's right here.
All right.
Between Route 66 on the west and the east, and J.M. Davis Boulevard on the east.
It is very easy to find. Now, we came out from Tulsa today, and it is very easy to get to. You just need a map and see Claremore, and I think probably anybody in town can tell you how to get here, right? Once you get
That's right.
Well, and two, it's a real pretty spot. You know, people think of Oklahoma as rocks and a more arid or barren type countryside. That's just not so. This is some of the prettiest country in the United States right here. I realize this is probably a green time of year, wouldn't you say?
We're called green country.
Oh, you're called green country.
Called green country in this area of Oklahoma. The northeast corner of Oklahoma is known as green country. And if you travel around this particular area, you will see that it really is green. We have magnificent trees here.
Yes. Well, the point I want to make here is, if you're going anywhere, let's say if you're going to Six Flags over Texas, if you're going to California on Interstate 40, anything at all that puts you within 100 miles of here, trust me, you need to come down if you like guns at all. Now, also, they have a number of other things here in the museum. You have musical instruments, you have saddles, and of course, what else?
All sorts of steins.
Steins and some swords, knives.
John Rogers statuary, favor of the 1800s.
And some horns that we really don't know the size of the cow that these horns are from. It's had to be fantastic. I mean, we're talking major steer here. I mean, this is.
I've heard it was a Chinese water buffalo.
Now, friends, we've run out of time for today's program, so we're going to come back to the museum on next week's show. I know you're going to look forward to seeing it. If you would like to advertise on the Shootin' Show, you can call us at 1-800-SAVE-YOUR-GUN. That's 1-800-728-8486. Our staff will be very happy to talk to you. Well, friends, it's happened again. We've run out of time for today's program. From Kurt, the judge, myself, we want to thank everyone for being with us for today's program, and we look forward to seeing you on the next Shootin' Show.